Hey guys, Jared here, and today we're going to assemble and test my new Woods rototiller. I purchased a Woods RT72.40 rototiller. This is a 72-inch rototiller. It is a forward rotation tine rototiller, and I chose forward rotation as opposed to a reverse rotation because I get into areas where I'm putting in food plots, I might be encountering roots, lots of rocks, things that I'm not familiar with, definitely virgin soil, and I didn't want to risk having the tines get underneath roots, bind it up, as well as beating the snot out of the rototiller with rocks and whatnot. And my previous rototiller was a forward rotation and it worked good. It was just only a 60-inch, unfortunately, and I did want to get a wider one, get a 72-inch so I could cover the width of the tractor, so that's what I did, and then stuck with the forward rotation. Now this rototiller is all gear drive, and if everybody's familiar with Woods products, they're all top-notch, right? They're all good quality products. So right now it's hard to find implements just about anywhere. Well, I was lucky enough to find this at a Woods dealer. It's a little over an hour from me. It's same place I purchased my grader scraper from, and they had a couple of these in stock. They usually have them pre-assembled, but they gave me a little discount for taking one that was already in a crate, which is fine by me. I don't care. It's not that big of a deal to assemble. So we're going to get to break this guy out of the crate, assemble the mast, put the oil in there, and do everything, get it set up. So let's get this guy busted out. All right, so we're going to start by cut some zip ties off the side here. There's a PTO shaft over here that you'll see in a minute. Geez, that was pretty simple. Cut the masts out. This is the PTO guard, which also happens to have the bolts inside it. I bet the manual's in there probably. All right, here's a PTO shaft. All right, we need a 1/2 inch, 9/16, 3/4, 1 1/8, 13 millimeter combination wrenches, sockets, a torque wrench, and jack stands. So that shield there and the rototiller itself is screwed down with looks like 6 lags. So we're going to break that free first so we can then rotate it up. All right, I think it's free. So I know I should probably get the tractor right now and lift this guy up and rotate it, but I'm going to just see if I can roll it forward. Hopefully it goes okay. There's a heavy sucker. That'll work. Everywhere you look, there's a little note telling you not to forget to fill it with oil. All right, step 1. Lower the skid shoes to the lowest position. And stand the tiller upright. Well, I already rotated it, but I guess I could have done that first, huh? Install Driveline shield to gearbox using 8mm bolts, 5/16 flat washers, and lock washers. This guy got a little oblong, it looks like. All right, so which set of holes? Probably the adjustable ones. Yep, sure is. Okay, the next step is to assemble the mast. I think they shorted me one of these longer bolts. So we will put it together and then go buy a correct bolt sometime. I should have 4 of these 1 1/4 long and 4 1 inch long. But that's all right. In the crate disassembly part, I skipped over a couple steps, and that is to remove the 3-point hitch pins here so we can remove the shipping brackets. Oh, that sucks. Yep, wish I would not have put that on. To be honest with you, that just seems to be in the way, so we're going to take that off. That way we can work, and then we'll put that back on when we're done. These are just shipping. We'll go there. Now, just like any other time you put something together, put everything together and just finger tighten. Just keep it loose until you get it all done. Then you'll snug everything up. So on this side, I got to take this bolt out in order to put the mast on. loosen this one too. Okay, now we are going to mount gearbox bracket. We have a couple bolts in there that are shorter than the others. I'm going to go into gearbox. And yes, I know the PTO cover's not on yet, but that's okay. It actually wants you to install the PTO cover, PTO shaft, and then assemble all of this. Well, I need to get this hooked up to the tractor first to figure out what length of shaft I need. We'll put the bushing in for the quick hitch. Now we will tighten the rest of the bolts. All right, I'm going to torque all of these. Grade 5 half-inch get torqued to 85 foot-pounds per the manual here. Now we just have to attach the chain. Chain goes through the link up here. Just gonna set it there for now so I can tighten it. So there are a lot of videos on YouTube that you can go watch and figure out how to properly measure to cut a PTO shaft. And I'm going to show you the one that I like and what I do. And that is starting with out the shaft. I am going to measure from the machined groove on here where the lock pin goes to the same machine groove here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that with the PTO shaft and this shaft as close to horizontal as possible, because that's when the shaft is going to be its shortest. If you have a shaft that's too long, and you have it, let's say, raised, and you go to lower, it's going to try to shove them together and can break the case of the tractor. So as we lift this, the PTO shaft is actually going to extend and pull apart. So that's when it's going to be longer. So we want to do our measurements when it's at its shortest. If you have to, put it in several different positions and do multiple measurements, and then use your shortest one as the dimension to cut your shaft. And, oh, by the way, the shaft is going to be cut 2 inches shorter than your shortest dimension measured. That will give us a little bit of extra play in there. So I'm going to put this where I think it's about horizontal, might do a couple 3, and then I'm going to measure it, and then we'll grab the shaft and I'll show you how to measure that. Yeah, 31 3/8. Now take your PTO shaft and make sure it is together as far as it will go, that it's fully collapsed, okay? Mine is absolutely fully collapsed. So we are now going to measure between this bolt, because that's what's going to go in the groove on the rototiller. Going to sit in there. Then we're going to measure roughly to the ball. Which appears to be right, maybe just right inside the edge of that collar. And I actually have 29, just shy of 29 inches. So this is just really right about right. So I got a little over 2 inches of clearance. So I can also slightly engage it and then measure it again. And I have about 39 and a quarter when it's all the way out. So that means I have, just not quite not quite 8 inches of overlap when that guy is together. So that is plenty of shaft overlap. So that actually looks like that's going to work out pretty good. So now I'm going to go ahead and put the kickstand down. And I'm going to drop this, put on the PTO cover and then the PTO shaft. Then we'll pick it back up and go try it. So right now, while it's attached, I have it fairly level in both directions. So I can go ahead and fill my 2 gear cases. So don't forget your top gear case. Manual says this is 1.3 quarts. So we're going to put oil in there. And then this one is 3 quarts. And we're going to put oil in here. And the manual also show how to tell, make sure you have the right amount of oil. So for example, this one, we will remove this bolt and we will fill it until it comes up to that level. At which time, once it's up that high, that'll be the correct level. So the gear lube level on the top gearbox is when it comes up to here and starts flowing out. So they say halfway up is how much oil should be in here. So there's the fill. Always remove this first. And now I was incorrect. This is not 1.3, this is 1.2 quarts. Now the manual says to go with an 80 to 90 weight oil. So I happen to be using Lucas here, but you can use whatever 80 to 90 weight gear oil you would like. We'll see how it goes just using this. I also have a pump that I can do. Seems to be going in pretty easy though. Now the manual states to run this for 30 hours, after which it should be drained and filled back up, and that's to remove all the contaminants from manufacturing. Same goes for the side gearbox. This gear lube is not expensive at all, and I just purchased it from Amazon. So I'll leave a link to this down in the description if this is what you would like to use as well. Okay, 1 quart done. Now we got 1 in, shouldn't take too much more of this. There it is. Put just 1 little bit of squirt in there. And plug it up. Don't need to over tighten the top a lot because it ain't going to splash much. It'll actually give a little bit of a vent if it's not tightened up all the way as well. And I filled the top gear case. I bought 1 gallon and 1 quart. So I have 5 quarts. Emptied all of that one out and then poured gear oil out of this into the 1 quart bottle. So theoretically, I should have about 3 quarts left in this gallon. So I should be able to just keep right on rolling with this and it not flow out until we get to the very end of the jug, and maybe even not quite then. I may have to pour a little bit out of the quart bottle. There it is. Wasn't even paying attention. Just watching the jug, and the stuff is so clear that I didn't even realize. This is a vent cap. Feel awkward doing it from that side. We have the PTO shaft where it's out nice and handy. We might as well grease it, right? And my LockNLube coupler on the end of this. Had to fill up the grease gun. Wipe off the excess. Now grease the side even though it looks like it's been greased. Get down where I can look in there. I don't want to pump too much grease inside and have it be able to collect dirt. Well, I'm sure glad I did this. They must have just pumped enough in just to maybe keep it from rusting. Well, there's also a chance I'm not even getting any grease out. There it is. Oh, that grease zerk is not seating. Let me start it. Okay, can you see how the grease is coming out of that grease zerk? A little ball in the end is supposed to act like a check valve. That is not turning off. So I'm going to have to replace that, looks like. All right, no more grease flow. That's what we want to see. So I apologize, but my microphone turned itself off before recording these sections. I started using a new Rode wireless microphone, and I guess I was away from the camera a little too long, and they both powered themselves off. They both timed out. So I didn't realize it when this happened. Unfortunately, it was my first time using them, so I'm learning as I go with that. So once again, I apologize. So this is going to have to be a voiceover section. And what I'm doing now is I put the kickstand down, unlatch the quick hitch, and I'm going to drop the tiller, move the tractor forward a little bit. That way I can put the PTO guard back on, the guard that sits right at the gearbox, and then get the PTO shaft mounted, and then we'll hook everything back up. And honestly, I have no idea why they even tell you to put this plastic guard on first, because it really is just kind of in the way, and it's no more difficult to put it on later once the rest of the tiller is assembled. Now, one thing we would normally have to worry about would be adjusting the slip clutch. This one came with a sticker stating that it was already adjusted. But here in the manual, it shows you how to adjust it. So you loosen those springs, and then you set the distance shown there in the manual for the gap between the bottom of the spring and the top of the spring. Now we're going to install the PTO shaft. The bolt that goes through the yoke at the rear of the PTO shaft goes through that machined groove that is on the stub shaft coming out of the gearbox. So you'll slide the PTO shaft yoke and the slip clutch back onto that stub shaft, and make sure that hole is lined up with the groove. Put the bolt through and then tighten it. It's really not that bad to get to it. Just an extension with a socket, you could see as I'm using here, will fit through the holes in the PTO cover. So now we're all done. We're ready to hook it back up. Quick and easy. Back up with a quick hitch. Get everything lined up. Lift it. Flip the levers down and then hook up the PTO shaft. I usually prefer the PTO shafts that have the spring pin that you push down to get it to latch and unlatch, but unfortunately this has the collar that goes all the way around. I find those just slightly a little bit more difficult because you're pulling back on that collar while you're trying to push the PTO shaft forward, and you have to get the collar pulled back pretty much all the way around or it doesn't want to slide on. All right, so we got this guy assembled. The slip clutch is adjusted. Everything is greased. It's full of oil. Right now I got the shoe set to max depth, so this is going to be the max cut. I got the rear hinge guard up just a little bit. I don't know if I'll have to lift that up anymore or not, but hey, let's throw it in the ground and see how it does. And once again, this is 72-inch behind an L3560, so this is a pretty good sized rototiller for this horsepower tractor. No idea how it'll do. I used a 60-inch before, but hopefully it does okay because I already sold a 60-inch. So let's get this guy in the ground and see how it does. All right, so what did you guys think? For being only a 35 horsepower tractor, I think it handled it pretty good. I had zero problems, never bogged down, never felt like it was going to stall. I had plenty of power driving, everything was just fine. I would not be scared to put this behind any 35 horsepower tractor. That's all prepped, ready to go, so I'll bring the seeder over and get that done. But I'll walk up through here with the camera in a second, but you're going to see it as nice and powdery. There were spots I had to go a little slow because I had piles of dead grass and stuff like that that accumulated when I was disking and whatnot. But if you were putting in a garden and you wanted it, you know, maybe 8 inches deep, you would have to go another pass, because set at this depth, it's 4 inches at a time. But for food plot, that's going to be perfect. So man, I'm happy. I like it. It works very well. It's nice to actually finally cover my tracks with the tiller. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. I am really curious what kind of tiller you guys have. Do you like it? What do you like about it? What do you not? I know there's lots and lots of brands out there, and the majority of them, if not all of them, are all really good. Some of them are better than others, but I definitely would be curious to hear what you guys have. What kind of width do you have, and behind what tractor model, and then let me know what horsepower it is also, please, in case I'm not familiar with it. And then give me a thumbs up. Let me know you liked the video. Subscribe and hit the bell notification so you can be notified of upcoming videos, and I'd greatly appreciate it. So you guys have a good rest of your day, and we'll see you soon. There was a clump there. That's why that's a little thicker. Holy cow, this is nice and soft. Heck yeah. This worked out really good.